Anaxogoras.
Something of everything in everything. Anaxogoras was another philosopher who could not agree that one particular basic substance, water, for instance, might be transformed in everything we see in the natural world. Nor could he accept that earth, air, fire, and water can be transformed into blood and bone. Anaxogoras held that nature is built up of an infinite number of minute particles invisible to the eye. Moreover, everything can be divided into even smaller parts, but even in the minutest parts there are fragments of all other things. If skin and bone are not a transformation of something else, there must also be skin and bone, he thought, in the milk we drink and the food we eat. A couple of present-day examples can perhaps illustrate Anaxagoras' line of thinking. Modern laser technology can produce so-called holograms. If one of these holograms depicts a car, for example, and the hologram is fragmented, we will see a picture of the whole car even though we only have the part of the hologram that showed the bumper. This is because the whole subject is present in every tiny part. In a sense, our bodies are built up in the same way. If I loosen a skin cell from my finger, the nucleus will contain not only the characteristics of my skin. The same cell will also reveal what kind of eyes I have, the color of my hair, the number and type of my fingers, and so on. Every cell of the human body carries a blueprint of the way all the other cells are constructed. So there is something of everything in every single cell. The whole exists in each tiny part. Anaxagoras called this minuscule particles which have something of everything in them seeds. Remember that Empedocles thought that it was love that joined the elements together in whole bodies. Anaxagoras also imagined order as a kind of force, creating animals and humans, flowers and trees. He called this force mind of intelligence.
Mind or intelligence.
Mind or intelligence.
Bracket nous. Nous is probably a Greek word. Okay. Latin or Greek. I'm not exactly sure the name. So, yes, where were we? Want to say something? Oh. So, what is Anaxagoras? What is his philosophy of Anaxagoras? You guys tell me. Yes?
A person.
What is his philosophy? What is the philosophy of Anaxagoras so far?
He don't believe in four elements: earth, fire, and
Water.
air and water. He believe in something like the infinity, minutes of infinity is something.
Basically,
Oshim,
he believed that our body parts is actually made up of minute particles. Okay, minute particles that is totally invisible in your eyes. Okay. So,
that's basically the entire idea. And there's something else as well. You know, the title of the title before we start reading Anaxagoras is something of everything in everything. So long before scientists have found out that our cells have DNA, and that DNA is that the same DNA can be found in every single cell of our body. Anaxagoras already guessed it without any of the science that there is something of everything in everything. Okay, so even if you don't want to think of DNA, if you look at everything around us, everything is made of carbon. So carbon is in everything. So in that sense, you could say there's something of everything in everything, right? You should have to বুঝতে পারছি.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, did you understand?
Sir, একটু কনফিউশন ইন এভরিথিং মানে জিনিসটা
বল।
আই মিন লাইক
সবকিছুর মধ্যে সবকিছুর কিছু একটা থাকে।
এটা কি অ্যাকচুয়ালি
হ্যাঁ, এটাই বলছি, সবকিছুর মধ্যে সবকিছুর কিছু একটা থাকে মানেটা কি? কথার কথা, আমাদের স্কিন সেলস ও উদাহরণটা দিচ্ছে যে আমাদের স্কিন সেলস যদি দেখি তাহলে দেখবো যে এটার মধ্যে ডিএনএ আছে। কিন্তু এই ডিএনএটা খালি স্কিন সেলসের মধ্যে না, অন্য ডিফারেন্ট কাইন্ডস অফ বডি সেলসের মধ্যেও থাকে। সো ডিএনএটা হচ্ছে একটা কমন জিনিস যেটা সব জায়গার মধ্যে আছে। এই সেন্সে আমরা যদি চিন্তা করি তাহলে বলতে পারি যে সবকিছুর মধ্যে সবকিছুর কিছু একটা থাকে। ঠিক আছে, এটা হচ্ছে আমরা এলিমেন্টসের ক্ষেত্রেও দেখতে পারি, যেটা যেমন কার্বন সব জিনিসের মধ্যেই কার্বন থাকে কম বেশি। So Anaxogoras, why is Anaxogoras special? He guessed this thousands of years ago, 2000 years ago,
Without any scientific.
without any microscope or any science or anything, just pure philosophy, pure thought.
Okay.
That's what's so awesome about it. Okay, continue.
Anaxagoras is also interesting because he was the first philosopher we hear of in Athens. He was from Asia Minor, but he moved to Athens at the age of 40. He was later accused of atheism and was ultimately forced to leave the city. Among other things, he said that the sun was not a god but a red hot stone, bigger than the entire Peloponnesian
Peninsula.
Yeah. Anaxagoras was generally very interested in astronomy. He believed that all heavenly bodies were made of the same substance as Earth. He reached this conclusion after studying a meteorite. Meteorite. This gave him the idea that there could be human life on other planets. He also pointed out that the moon has no light of its own. Its light comes from Earth. He thought up an explanation for solar eclipses as well.
Okay. So these are all interesting observations. So 2000 years ago, Anaxagoras already guessed that the sun was a red hot ball. It's a very red hot ball. It's bigger than the entire Peloponnesian Peninsula. Peloponnesian Peninsula. So this is something new, because even for a long time we did not have a conception of what the sun is actually. So we discovered our scientific method quite late, and we figured out that the sun is a hot ball of Earth. When a hot ball, just a really hot ball, hot red stone. So we discovered this a lot later also, but he had already guessed it 2000 years ago. And he also guessed the fact that the moon
Has no light.
has no light of its own, that is just reflecting the light of the sun.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Yes, thank you for your attention. So, it is not unlikely that you will need to read this chapter 2 or 3 times before you understand it all. But understanding will always require some effort. You probably would not admire a friend who has a good at everything if it lost her no effort. The best solution to the question of basic substance and the transformations in nature must wait until tomorrow, when you will meet Democritus.
I'll say
no more.
okay. So this PS part, yes, what is this philosopher telling to Sophie?
মানে attention দেওয়ার জন্য ধন্যবাদ।
Hmm?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your attention.
Is that all he's saying?
No.
He's saying something very important here.
Very important
হ্যাঁ,
thing that is
effort
for the
matter.
understanding the efforts.
Yes.
Understanding the effort.
Yes. If, yes, this is relevant for your learning as well, for this class as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And there's a reason for this. What he's saying that if you just read it, you know, all these typescript typewritten pages that I gave you, it's full of philosophy. But if you just read it once and if you understand everything, I mean, I kind of doubt that you will understand everything just by reading it once. You have to read it a few more times before you sort of understand what I'm trying to say here, right? And he explains that if you had a friend who was good at everything, you know, he understood everything on his first attempt, you wouldn't be able to appreciate him a lot because he doesn't have to put in any effort. You have to, you know, if you saw him struggle, maybe you could appreciate the learning he has acquired because he's really trying really hard. And the same thing applies for us as well. So because you see, you guys just like students these days, or I found that you guys just want everything handed to you guys. You guys have to put in a bit of effort. All right. If you guys want to learn something, if you guys want to appreciate the learning, even you guys have to struggle with it. You know, without the struggle, you will not understand the value of what you're learning. Also. All right.
Yes.
Let's start with Democritus now. Democritus. Page 41.
Yes.
Democritus.
Yes, Democritus. The most ingenious toy in the world. Who wants to read? Go ahead.
Sophie put at
The most ingenious toy in the world. Read that first.
Democritus, the most ingenious toy in the world. Sophie put all the dice pages from the unknown philosopher back into the cookie tin and put the lid on it. She crawled out of the den and stood for a while looking across the garden. She thought about what happened yesterday. Her mother had teased her about the love letter again at breakfast this morning. She walked quickly over to the mailbox to prevent the same thing from happening today. Getting a love letter 2 days in a row would be doubly embarrassing.
So this is not doubt. This is not doubt.
What do you mean without? Doubly, yes, doubly.
Means double.
Yes. 2 days in a row.
There was another little white envelope. Sophie began to
Discern.
discern a pattern in the deliveries. Every afternoon she would find a big brown envelope. When she read the contents, the philosopher would sneak up to the mailbox with another little white envelope.
Envelope.
In later to
Come to jail, right now.
হ্যাঁ come.
Okay. So what is this philosopher doing? So
He's totally
hmm?
anonymous.
Yes, he's not showing himself.
Showing himself.
So he sends Sophie some letters in the morning. Sorry. Every afternoon.
After
And while Sophie is busy reading the letters, the philosopher would sneak up to the mailbox and put in another envelope. Okay.
There was another little white envelope. So we began to discern a pattern in the deliveries. Every afternoon she would find a big brown envelope. While she read the contents, the philosopher would sneak up to the mailbox with another little white envelope. So now Sophie would be able to find out who he was. If it was a he, she had a good view of the mailbox from her room. If she stood at the window, she would see the mysterious philosophers. White envelopes don't just appear out of thin air. Sophie decided to keep a carefully watch the following day. Tomorrow was Friday and she would have the whole weekend ahead of her. She went up to her room and opened the envelope. There was only one question today, but it was even numbered than the previous week. Why is Lego the most ingenious toy in the world? For a start, Sophie was not at all sure she agreed that it was. It was there since she had played with the little plastic blocks. Moreover, she could not for the life of her see what Lego could possibly have to do with philosophy. But she was beautiful student, rummaging on the top shelf of her closet. Rummaging on the top shelf on her closet, she found a rack full of Lego blocks of all shapes and sizes. For the first time in ages, she began to build with them. As she worked, some ideas began to occur to her about the blocks. They are easy to assemble, she thought. Even though they are all different, they all fit together. They are also unbreakable. She couldn't ever remember having seen a broken Lego block. All her blocks looked as bright and new as the day they were bought many years ago. The best thing about them was that with Lego she could construct any kind of object, and then she could separate the blocks and construct something new. What more could one ask of a toy? Sophie decided that Lego really would be called the most ingenious toy in the world. But what it had to do with philosophy was beyond her. She had nearly finished constructing a big doll's house, much as she hated to admit it. She hadn't had a much fun in ages.
Okay. When Sophie got home from school, a few paragraphs later. When Sophie got home from
Yes.
school.
When Sophie got home from school the following day, there were several more pages for her in a big brown envelope. She took them upstairs to the room.
To her room.
She could not wait to read them, but she had to keep her eyes on the mailbox at the same time.
Same time. Okay.
The atom theory. Here I am, Miss Sophie. Today you are going to hear about the last of the great nature philosophers. His name is Democritus. Democritus, and he was from the little town of Abdera on the northern Aegean coast. If you were able to answer the question about Lego blocks without difficulty, you should have no problem understanding what is philosopher project was.
Okay. Before we move to Democritus' philosophy, what did Sophie exactly discover about Lego blocks?
Because the
Because-
previous open era, you can build something with it, with your imagination and creativity, and you can take it off, separate them.
Take it apart, yes.
Yes, take it apart, and then you can make new things. And there are like countless chances what you can create with them.
There's a lot of room for creativity.
Yes.
And the individual Lego blocks don't break.
No.
they're very strong, you know. Okay, continue.
Democritus agreed
With his.
with his predecessors that transformation in nature could not be due to the fact that anything actually changed. He therefore assumed that everything was built up to tiny invisible blocks, each of which was eternal and immutable. Democritus called this smallest unit atom. The word atom means uncuttable. For Democritus, it was all important to establish that the constituent parts that everything else was composed of could not be divided
Indefinitely into smaller parts.
indefinitely into smaller parts. If these were possible, they could not be used as blocks. If atoms could eternally be broken down into over smaller parts, nature would begin to dissolve like constantly diluted soup.
Okay. So the word atom means
Uncuttable.
uncuttable. So the atom is like a Lego block basically. It does not break. The atom is that part of the that part of a material which does not break into a smaller piece.
ওই যে অবিভাজ্য যেটাকে বলে বাংলায় অবিভাজ্য
Indivisible, you're trying to say. Yes, basically an atom is something like that. Even modern science tells us you can break an atom into smaller parts, proton, electron, neutron.
নিউটন
But if you do break it, the thing is the proton, electron and neutron, they do not exist on their own. They only exist if they're together as an atom. By themselves they do not exist, even though they have existence. Okay? They have existence when they're together. By themselves they have no existence. So these are some interesting ideas that Democritus have, which modern science have just discovered. Okay, continue.
Moreover, nature's law had to be eternal because nothing can come from nothing. In this, he agreed with Parmenides and the
Eleatics.
Eleatics.
Also, he believed that all atoms were free and
Firm
solid.
and solid.
But they could not all be the same. If all atoms were identical, if all atoms were identical, there would be no satisfactory explanation of how they could combine to form everything from copies and olive trees to skin and human hair. Democritus believed that nature consisted of an unlimited number and variety of atoms. Some were round and smooth, others were irregular and jagged. And partially
Precisely.
and precisely because they were so difficult, so different they could join together into all kinds of different bodies. But however, infinite they might be in number and shape, they were all eternal, immutable and invisible.
Okay. So what are we learning about Democritus' philosophy here? About atoms? We just
The consistency. Consistency.
No, what is being said here? Tell me that.
Basically, there are unlimited numbers of atoms, but all the atoms are not same. Each of the atoms have different shape. Okay? Something can be smooth, something can be irregular, jagged, or various shapes basically.
Okay. So basically there are different kinds. So Democritus' idea is like there are different kinds of Legos. Some of them are red, some of them are yellow, some of them are blue. put the blue together, you get some blue shape structure. If you put the yellow one together, you get a yellow shape structure. But Democritus' idea is that, you know, but these Legos, they're infinite. There are lots of them. There's not just a limited number that you find in a Lego box.
Accountable. It's
So
uncountable.
there are uncountable number of different kinds of Legos.
Legos.
And these Legos are eternal, immutable, and
Jagged.
No,
No.
indivisible.
indivisible. Indivisible means not something that cannot be divided or broken down.
So what does it mean, jagged?
Jagged হচ্ছে টেরাবেকা, অসমান, exactly.
So now you see what I mean about Lego blocks. They have more or less
The same properties.
same properties as whole, which Democritus ascribed to atoms, and that is what makes them so much fun to build with. They are first and foremost indivisible. Then they have different shapes and sizes. They are solid and impermeable.
Impermeable. Permeable.
Impermeable. They are solid and impermeable.
Solid and impermeable means that nothing can pass through it. Okay.
They also have hooks and barbs so that they can be connected to form every
Conceivable figure, yes.
This connection can later be broken again so that new figures can be constructed from the same block. The fact that they can be used over and over is what has made Lego so popular. Each single Lego block can be part of a truck one day and part of castle the day after. We could also say that Lego blocks are eternal. Children of today can play with the same blocks their parents played with when they were little. We can form things out of clay too, but clay cannot be used over and over because it can be broken up to smaller and smaller pieces. These tiny pieces can be
Can never be joined. These tiny pieces
Can never be joined together again to make something else.
No problem. I'm going to do this. These
Never
tiny
be joined
pieces.
together again to make something else.
Okay. So clay is not like a Lego. So because when the clay is not heated up, you can mold it. You can make shapes out of it. But once you heat it, it takes shape. And once you break that shape, it's broken. Okay, you cannot turn it back into clay.
Today we can establish that Democritus' atom theory was more or less correct. Natural really is built out of different atoms that join and separate again. A hydrogen atom in a cell at the end of my nose was once part of a elephant's trunk. A carbon atom in cardiac muscle
In my cardiac muscle.
was once in the tail of a dinosaur. In our own time, however, scientists have discovered that atoms can be broken into smaller elemental particles. We call these elemental particles protons, neutrons, and electrons. These will possibly someday be broken into even lesser particles. But physicists agree that somewhere along the line there has to be a limit. There has to be a minimal part of which nature consists. Democritus did not have access to modern electronic apparatus.
Apparatus.
Apparatus. His only proper equipment was his mind, but reason left him no real choice. Once it is accepted that nothing can change, that nothing can come out of nothing, and that nothing is never lost, then nature must consist of
Infinitesimal blocks.
infinitesimal blocks that can join and separate again. Democritus did not believe in any force or soul that could intervene in natural process. The only things that existed, he believed, were atoms and the void. Since he believed in nothing but material things, we call him a materialist.
Materialist. Okay. So Democritus does not believe in the idea of a soul. Okay? He only believes in material things.
Which can be touched.
Which can be felt by the five senses. According to?
According to Democritus, there is no conscious design in the movement of atoms. In nature, everything happens quite mechanically. This does not mean that everything happens randomly. For everything obeys the inevitable laws of necessity. Everything that happens has a natural cause. A cause that is inherent in the thing itself. Democritus once said that he would rather discover a new cause of nature than be the king of Persia. The atom theory also explains our sense perception for Democritus. When he says something, it is due to movement of atoms in space. When I see the moon, it is because moon atoms penetrate by eyes. But what about the soul then? Surely that could not consist of atoms of material things. Indeed, it could. Democritus believed that the soul was made up of special round smooth soul atoms. When a human being died, the soul atoms flew in that direction and could then become part of a new soul formation.
Okay. So what is his position on the soul if it exists?
It is made out of smooth soul atoms, and when a person dies, it flies out of their body back.
In all directions. It just dissolves into the air, right?
Yes.
What do you guys think of this idea? Does it sound acceptable
I think no.
to you? Hmm?
No, I think.
Why not?
It is the kind of same way our works. Excuse me.
She's answering, so you should.
No problem.
Okay.
We talk to sir.
Yes,
Yeah, no
discuss
problem.
it.
Okay, so no problem. Just go on.
Oh.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, please say it. No problem.
I know you don't have any problem. I don't know what is it.
Say please.
You guys are not
I
kids
don't
anymore.
know what you will say.
You guys are not school kids. Please don't act like that.
So, he's trying to say that the souls is also didn't exist after that.
So the soul would disappear.
That is departed from in every direction.
Yeah. So contrary to our let's say contrary to the beliefs of people from Abrahamic faith, the soul is indestructible basically.
Yes, so he's saying that it's also departed from and go from every direction.
It goes in all directions, right?
Yes.
So this is an interesting idea. You see, this is one of the reasons why Democritus was called an atheist. Okay, so he did not believe that the soul would return to a creator, for example. And you guys have to keep in mind something. So yeah, I have a question. So Christianity hadn't come yet.
When he was there.
Yeah, when Democritus was explaining his theories, so there was no Christianity, but the idea of an indestructible soul is a religious concept. Where do you think it might have come from? were people just religious on their own, or where do some of these common ideas about the indestructible soul come from? What are your guesses?
From Al-Quran.
The Quran came later. Democritus
The
was before
religious,
the Quran.
remember the Egyptians were like, the Egyptians used to believe in this afterlife thing because they built up so many tombs and all with riches. They used to believe in that. And it came way long before in the Christian religions. And there are so many other
Religions.
they believe in the afterlife. Even the Vikings, they used to believe in the afterlife. Then these are ancient religions. Not only Christianity that believes in the afterlife, or not only that our religion believes in that. So it may have come from some other religions that we don't know the name of.
Okay.
The idea was there because if we think of the perspective of our religion, Allah has sent our messengers over the times for different people, different group of people. So there was always this idea of this afterlife. We have to face the Creator. So it has been passed out with the generations, I think. This is my thought.
So there are a lot of ideas going on here. She's presenting us two ideas. First one is there are other religions which believe in the concept of afterlife. Okay, even before Christianity. These are like non-Abrahamic religions. But then there's the other idea that it might have been so Muslims at least believe that throughout history, starting with the Prophet Adam alayhi salam,
Yes.
we have been given more prophets after a period of time. So religious ideas like an indestructible soul might have come from there, because we know that the religion of Moses came before Christianity, right?
Yes.
Older
Yes.
than Christianity.
Mm.
So besides non-Abrahamic faiths, there is the religion of Moses, which might have come to the Greeks through some
Other
cultural
side.
ideas,
Mm.
people, whatever. So these are interesting ideas, because you see the influence of religious ideas, and then there are these ideas that Democritus is bringing. You see, these are sort of there, going together, moving forward together.
This means that human beings had no immortal soul, another belief that many people share today. They believe, like Democritus, that soul is connected with brain, and that we cannot have any form of consciousness once the brain
Disintegrates.
disintegrates.
Okay. So this is another interesting question. So if somebody asks you, where does the soul reside in the body, what would you guys say?
Decide.
Where does the soul reside in the body?
Stay
আপনার
in the
শরীরের মধ্যে আপনার সোলটা কোন জায়গায়?
So he says that
No. Forget about his opinion. What do you guys think? This is what I want to know.
inside our human body is something like that.
all
Where?
over my body.
All over the body.
Because
Body function.
we don't
I don't
talk
know.
about specific parts, so all over our
Yeah,
body.
all over.
So you think it's all over our body.
Yeah.
What should say brain?
So,
Brain is what Democritus is saying, because
Okay.
brain is the seat of consciousness or something like that.
Yes.
So what do you think? Do you think it's the brain?
I think it's brain.
It's
Could be
more
brain.
sensible if you think it is the brain.
Okay. And what do you guys think? Yes? Eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting idea.
Religion aspects, it comes from your hand or your leg, from it comes out, then it will goes up the head,
No, it might come out of your hands.
and yeah,
Mm.
But
fingers.
where is the soul? Where do you suppose the soul is?
So basically, we don't have any logic at this moment, but he gave a logic. Okay,
Yes,
when
logic
brain
is.
disintegrates, so in that moment, the soul.
I feel
Lost,
so
something like
is a beautiful figure.
Yes. So because look, so she's saying that It might be throughout our whole body.
Whole body, yeah.
Because the cells are also living beings, individual cells.
Yes.
It might be throughout the entire body. So she said that it might be the eyes. It is definitely possible. It's one of the senses and a very important blessing of the Creator.
Creator, yes.
It could be, what else could it be?
Heart.
Heart? Yes, this is a very common answer. Maybe it's the
Heart.
heart.
Yeah,
But why do you guys think it might be the heart? I also want to know.
Because when it stops beating, we die. The
Okay.
soul leaves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like the brain is the seat of consciousness, the heart is also a kind of,
Machine.
gives us life.
Yeah.
Oh my God, deeply things.
No, we are talking on very surface level.
Yes, exactly.
But why the soul?
Who are
It's
you?
really a big question. Why the soul?
So, do we have anything in the Islamic tradition that says that the soul might be in the heart?
No.
I never heard it.
You never heard of it?
So
Nobody?
in Islamic aspects, it's an order from Almighty Allah. It's an order.
What is an order?
An order.
Okay.
So it, order, yeah. So it will become, if you wanna die, so it will be just removed out from your body. That's how it does work. And when your life is just has finished, it will become automatic by the angels.
These are the things that we know.
Yeah.
But no, I was asking you guys because I was expecting a response. I've actually heard of something. I cannot confirm it.
Okay.
You guys have heard of Azrael, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the idea is that Azrael is going to come and Azrael is going to take our soul.
Soul, right.
So and the person who has, for example, from a religious perspective, a person who has been very sinful in life, for Azrael, extricating the soul will be very difficult.
Very tough.
Mm.
Yeah, he's trapped
For the human
from
being.
our heart.
Alright.
So Azrael is going to take it from the heart.
I have heard that বাংলায় বলি একটু যে বুকের ভেতর থেকে রুটা বের করে নিয়ে চলে এরকম একটা
Grab it like
মানে
a,
অনেক কষ্ট দিয়ে নিয়ে যায় যদি
The
হচ্ছে
description
সিনফুল
is-
পিপল
The
হয়
description is like it's like a comb. It's like trying to trying to extricate a comb from a wet wool.
yes.
Wool. Yes, trying to extricate a metal comb from a wet wool.
Even there is also another concept that I had heard about last night in watch like Islamic video. So that is going to be we have heard about the date trees, khejur gach. So there is date trees in you will find kata jegula. So
Horns.
yeah.
Horns.
So that's how your soul will be removed out in your heart. If the mountain fall in your heart or in your body, it will be vanished. That's how your pain will be if you are a sinful person.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are very interesting ideas.
Basically, the things will be different. Am I a simple person? Are they a good person? Religious person that will be more easier to take out the soul.
Take out the soul. Yeah.
But the simple person that will be much more.
So do you
Pain
think
will be much.
Do you think that what kind of substance do you think the soul is made of?
So that's the thing.
Oh my.
You call it atom souls. Souls atoms.
Democritus said that
Yes. souls
atom, but
Soul
sir,
I'm asking what you guys think.
what we guys are
rare
thinking.
kind of thing.
Huh?
Unique kind of
Something very unique. Okay, no problem.
I don't know.
Do you guys think it's like air?
No, I think it's like
Shadow. It's like shadow.
I
Where do
think
you get
light.
this idea?
Because of
Some cartoon. I think
So
light.
basically like a
Yes,
water.
I in Instagram reels. In Instagram reels.
That's okay. I want to know the source. Yes, you want to say something.
Basically, it's like a water. Like anything can easily penetrate through the body. If I talk about the source, source is like something like that you can easily throw the body. Okay, it will not feel anything. So in body that will be different. Atoms are made of electron, proton, neutron. But in case of souls, the atoms are, we are not sure that what kinds of atoms are totally made of these souls. So what it is invisible, like some kind we cannot see, it's invisible, but he can like in soul, like in religious perspective, the things are said that the soul can look us or see us, but we cannot see the soul.
So,
Okay, so
So there's some evidence for the fact that the soul might reside in the eyes as well.
Eyes
That's
as
like you
well.
were saying. Okay. Yes, and continue.
no sir,
I don't
I
agree
don't
with
have any
that.
idea. What's the
Because
soul?
there are people who are blind, there are people who don't have eyes. Even they have a soul.
Yes,
How do you explain that?
and do we have an explanation for whether their soul will be able to see their body?
Yes.
it's more interesting.
Yes, that's the question here.
Question and questioning and
So that's the
questioning.
question here. Do we have any, let's say, references, Islamic references? For that?
Sir, we are becoming a philosopher because we are asking many questions.
Many question, yes. স্যার আমি কিন্তু বাংলায় বলতে পারি আচ্ছা, আমরা সামটাইমস আমরা কিন্তু চোখ দেখতে পাই না কিন্তু বিভিন্ন পশু পাখি ওরা কিন্তু দেখতে পারে কারণ ওরা তো
দেখতে পারে না
না না ওরা দেখতেই পারে স্যার এটা কিভাবে
জিনকে দেখতে পাই।
How do you know that they can see?
স্যার রেফারেন্স অফ কোরআন বলা হয়েছে যে হচ্ছে হলো কিছু প্রাণী আর কি সোল তো
They just can see the gene.
ওকে নট সোল
Not so.
সরি স্যার মাই ব্যাড
Yes, as I mentioned before, it's an order from Almighty. So this knowledge is not sufficient for our human brain.
This I want to know as well. What does Islam consider it ilm al-ghaib,
Yeah.
lost knowledge or unknown knowledge,
Yes.
knowledge that is not knowledge that we cannot, let's say,
Discovered by humans.
yes.
There is always a limitation.
No, I'm saying, is it mentioned something like that? Knowledge of the soul.
Yeah, as I mentioned.
Is it ilm al-ghaib or not?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Knowledge that is not accessible to us.
Yes, we cannot acquire that.
Even there is a few words, alif, lam, mim. So the definition, if you read any tafsir, you cannot find out the real actual
meaning
intent
of
meaning
it.
of it. Because we are human beings, we don't have access about trying get out the real meaning.
Yes.
Okay. Sounds like an interesting way to move forward. Okay, let's continue.
Democritus' atom theory marked the end of
কেউ যদি পড়তে চায় পড়তে পারে। আপনি পড়তে চান?
Imon.
Thank you.
Why don't you read? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Where?
Democritus' atom theory marked the end of Greek natural philosophy. Continue.
Democritus' atom theory marked the end of Greek natural philosophy for the time being. He agreed with
Heraclitus.
Heraclitus that everything in nature flows, since forms come and go. But behind everything that flowed there were some eternal and immutable things that did not flow. Democritus called them atoms. During her reading, Sophie glanced out of the window several times to see whether her mysterious correspondent had turned up at the mailbox. Now she just sat starting down the road,
Sat staring down the road.
staring
Down the road.
sat staring down the road, thinking about what she had read. She felt that Democritus' ideas had been so simple and yet so ingenious. He had discovered the real solution to the problem of basic substance and transformation. This problem had been so complicated that philosophers had gone around puzzling over it for generations. And in the end, Democritus had solved it on his own by using his common sense. Sophie could hardly help smiling. It had to be true that nature was built up of small parts that never changed. At the same time, Heraclitus
Heraclitus.
was obviously right in thinking that all forms in nature flow because everybody dies, animals die, even a mountain range slowly disintegrates. The point was that the mountain range is made up of tiny, indivisible parts that never break up. At the same time, Democritus had raised some new questions. For example, he had said that everything happened mechanically. He did not accept that there was any spiritual force in life, unlike Empedocles and
Anaxogoras.
Anaxogoras.
Anaxogoras.